Hi, welcome back to Papa John's Pantry. Remember, like us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and questions, comments, reach out to me at papajohnspantry@gmail.com. Alright, today we're making cream of broccoli soup. I'm going to be making it like a cheddar broccoli soup, but it's super easy to not make it cheesy. That'll be up to you. This skill level is like a very simple thing to make. We're going to be using about a cup of celery, cup of diced onions, and for this, you can use a fresh vegetable. You'll get a little bit better product. I'm using a large and small head. It'll be about 4 cups of broccoli once it's all prepared. Going to be using our minced garlic, half a stick of butter, 2 of your standard containers of chicken stock, and we're using 2 pints of heavy cream. So let's get to it. We're going to start by putting half a stick of butter in a pan. I mean, you could use there's not going to be too much liquid. You could use a Dutch oven for this. I'm using a pan that's it's almost more like a stock pot. It's a little bit higher. You know, it's a little bit bigger than a Dutch oven, just so that you don't have to worry about it boiling over the sides. Remember to wash your veggies before you get going. Now, I like, the celery stalks, I'm going to just have them. Then we're going to dice them. I like the soup stuff to be a little bit on the big side, just so you know you're having a nice homemade soup as opposed to this tasting like a canned soup. I mean, it's going to taste much better than a canned soup, but, people let them know they're eating something that's not, that you made yourself, that didn't come frozen and you just heat it up or came out of a can. So, alright, so cup of broccoli, same time using a medium onion, the ones that come in a bag. This is a little bit, be about a cup once it's diced. Decided to do some soups here in Buffalo, not in the city, but the surrounding suburbs. They call the snow belt down the southern tier, where that's the area between like the city and the Pennsylvania line. They're calling for a blizzard. I'm like, you know what? I haven't made soups all winter because we've had the most mild winter in recent memory. So I'm like, it's time to make some soups. So I'm gonna be making soups. Making soups and good cold weather recipes the next couple of days. So we're putting these onions, celery, right in the pot with our butter. Alright, I'm going to turn you off. Well, I don't have to turn you off. Just make this long. Cat's going crazy over there eating this food. So, I'm going to just put this on a... Good job, buddy. Just going to put this on a low flame, and this will take a little bit to cook. Alright, while that's going on, put you back over here. I'm going to grab a bowl and start cutting up this broccoli. Now this is something you can prepare you could use frozen broccoli for this, but soups are like my favorite thing to make, and I like just going all out with these. So we're not going to use the stems. We're going to try to just use the florets in this for the most part. Maybe I have you set up on the right. Yeah, I do. And you can do, if you can't, if you're not a good multitasker, just do things one at a time. Get your veggies cooking, and then turn it off, and then do your broccoli. You know, there's no race to making this. These, you know, it's a soup. You don't want people to have to cut them. You know, you don't have to, you know, you want them to be able to eat it and not have to use a knife for their soup. So we're just going to cut these up into smaller pieces. How small? I always say about the size of a dice for everything, because that's a good size to let people know, hey, this is homemade, but it's not too big where you gotta, you know, this isn't like a, you know, it's a soup. It's not like, you know, it's not like you're serving broccoli with a side with some meat or anything like that. So you don't want people to have to cut this up and use a fork. So if you get these big things, just put them off to the side. We're not going to use the stems. You want mostly just the florets. Silk. I'll be right back, folks. Sorry. My dogs act like their food's never good enough, so they always have to constantly get into the cat food. Alright, so that's really it as far as the product. And you can, all these little bits we'll use. It'll make the soup turn a little greenish. And that's it as far as prepping. Alright. So I'm going to move you to the stove top now. Give me 1 second so you can see what I'm doing in here. Alright. So butter's melted. We're going to just stir this around. Now this is a real thin pan, so I'm going to have to cook this on low. It's the only problem. I haven't found a good stock pot that's not either excessively too large or a price I want to spend. I haven't found a used one thicker, and I don't, for as little as I use this pan, I don't feel like dropping $300 on something I don't use all that often. We're gonna let these slowly turn, you know, get to a tannish. Once these cook up, these will take about 8 minutes or so. About 4 minutes into this, we're gonna throw in 2 tablespoons of garlic. All right, so I'll catch you in a few. Alrighty, I got a phone call, and I can only do so many things at once on my phone. Alright, so once this starts to just get a little brown, we're going to go ahead and then we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of garlic to this. And if your garlic's in like a water and oil, try to get as little the liquid as possible. We're going to let that cook up a bit. Just so everything browns real nice and lightly, and then we're going to throw in a we're going to throw in a 1 cup of flour to this, make a roux in the pan, and I'll see you in just a moment. All right, I'm sorry. Yeah, we missed a step here because the phone went off again, and I ended up taking a picture instead of a video. So, once everything was a tan brown, we added a cup of flour and our 2 containers of chicken stock. So I mean, this you didn't miss anything exciting. We're going to slowly heat this up until it starts to boil. Then we're going to add our shut up thing. Then we're going to add our broccoli to boil it for probably about 5 minutes. We'll let the broccoli boil, and then we will add the heavy cream, and then we'll salt and pepper to taste. So after the last snippet, we added a cup of flour, stirred it up, made a roux in the pan, and then added our 2 containers of chicken stock. All right, we're bringing it to a slow boil. Catch you in a few. All right, well, this is slowly coming to a boil. Yeah, I apologize about the not watching the flour. So you put the flour in, hold it with a oven mitt, stir it in. It'll be clumpy. You'll let it sit 30 seconds, and then you'll add the chicken stock. You'll mix this up with a wire whisk about every 2 minutes until this starts to boil. Then once it does start to boil, we're going to put our broccoli in. Okay, so that'll be the next step. 2 minutes, every 2 minutes whisk, and then add broccoli. All right, and because, you know, I hate this pan because it's such a thin bottom, I think I'm just going to toss it out. I am moving to my nice, this pan's got a copper layer where it evenly distributes the heat. I am transferring this over to that pan because I got like 2 flakes of this sticking, and I don't even, if you just saw, I hardly even had the flame on. So I'm just transferring that to a new pan. All right, so that's why if you're gonna be like, well, that's completely different. No, we're in this together, and I wanted to, show you what's up. So, all right, you can stay. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's starting to steam. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the broccoli to it now while it's starting to steam. That way, I accidentally splash myself. I'm not burning the crap out of myself. So again, we're going to just, once this starts to boil, we're going to let this boil about 5 minutes. Enough for the broccoli to get soft. And then we're going to add the heavy cream. Bring it to a boil, salt and pepper. How much salt till it tastes like something. It'll be, if you watched me make the homemade stew recipe, it took 5 tablespoons of kosher salt, the big salt. This will probably be the same, especially with this being a low sodium. Both of these were a low sodium chicken stock that I used. This soups aren't the greatest health thing for you. Pepper's pepper. We'll throw in a tablespoon of pepper, but not a tablespoon. I'm sorry. We'll throw in a teaspoon of black pepper, and this will take quite a bit of salt. So don't be. If this tastes absolutely blah, you'll just keep slowly adding salt until the flavor starts to taste like something that you want. Okay, and then it'll be about a cup of shredded cheddar cheese if you want cheddar cheese. Completely up to you. All right, so. We'll let this sit, start to boil. And so once this is done and you got pieces of broccoli you think are too big, you can easily mash them up with a potato masher to the side. You can mash it up, or you can even, if you got one of these handheld pureers, you could use one of those too to get the broccoli, if you chopped your broccoli too big. But I like the big pieces because it's a way people know that this is homemade and not out of a can. But if you feel like your broccoli's too big, by all means, cut it to a size you want, and just keep whisking. And as you can see, this isn't like a chowder where it needs to be super thick, but you want it thickened a little bit. And we'll let this slowly boil. Let it boil until the broccoli gets soft. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my pepper in. So a teaspoon of black pepper. And if you want, you can start adding your salt till it starts to taste like something. I mean, it's going to taste very, very blah to start out, even if you don't use a regular stock. It's still going to need a lot of salt. And that was probably about 3 tablespoons I just put in. Get a spoon out. It's all but perfect. I'll wait to add any more salt until once I get the cream in. But all right, so just slowly keep this on a boil, or slowly keep this heating up till it gets to a boil. And once it boils, we'll let the broccoli cook. Alrighty, they're boiling. So just keep stirring. Make sure. If you feel like there's resistance on the, like there's stuff starting to stick to the bottom of your pan, turn it down. You get your flame too high because you don't want this to burn, which is why I got it out of the other pan, just because it was so thin. And once you start to see the broccoli mush up a little bit and get soft, it's time to add the heavy cream. It'll be about 8 minutes of boiling for the broccoli, okay? So set a timer, then we'll add the heavy cream, and we'll enjoy some good homemade soup. All right, so we're adding our heavy cream, and we're going to return this to a boil. It looks like I cut a couple seconds off the video. So broccoli, it took about 7.5 minutes for the broccoli. Just added the heavy cream. And we're going to return this to a boil. I'm going to add it. And this would be done. See if it needs any more salt. I'm going to make this a cheddar broccoli soup. So I'm adding 1 cup, and that's it. Just a cup of shredded cheddar. Going to get this to a boil and see if it needs some more salt. But that is soup. All right, I will see you in a minute once this boils. And again, sorry for the missing video piece with the flour and that. My phone's just been scheduling a surgery for some kidney stone removal, so just a bunch of phone calls. So I apologize about that. And turn my video off. So before we put the broccoli in, if you wanted to make a cream, and we'll make them individually, but instead of broccoli, if you would have thrown in mushrooms, everything we did is like a universal base for these cream soups. So you could have, instead of broccoli, this could have been a cream of mushroom soup, a cream of asparagus soup, a cream of cauliflower, and then everything else is the same. Other than you leave the cheese out, but that substitute any of them veggies for broccoli, and you have any of those soups. And we'll make them again since this was missing a step with the phone calls. I'll make a cream of mushroom soup one of these days because that's one of my family's. Well, not here at this house, but I'll have to give some soup to my folks and my sister because they love that stuff. But I like cream of mushroom soup, and it's the only time I get to have it because is when I give it away. So this is slowly starting to boil, and that's cream of broccoli soup. I mean, and you'll notice this, very few ingredients: butter, celery, onions, broccoli, garlic, chicken stock, cream, and some cheese. These things, the simpler they are, the better they are. They're not busy in your mouth. They got a great flavor. So, thanks for watching Cream of Broccoli Soup. Again, I apologize about you not seeing me stirring the flour, but that's not a big deal. Be brave. Stir in some flour and then add your chicken stock. All right, thanks for watching.